Pronounce every single letter you see in these sentences. It sounds a lot different, right?
The English spelling system is famous for not making sense. The phonetic ideal of having each letter represent exactly one sound and each sound represented by exactly one letter is impossible. The spellings have been fixed for a long time and have not changed with the language's pronunciation.
The English language has been written for about 1,300 years, which is plenty of time for these mismatches to happen.
One of the more frustrating signs of these spelling mismatches is English's abundance of silent letters. In fact, about 60% of English words contain a silent letter. In alphabetical order, they are B, D, E. The most famous silent letter in English, G, H, K, L, M, N, O, P, R, S, T, W, X, and Z. In this video, we will find out the stories behind silent letters. Many silent consonant letters represent consonants that were actually pronounced at one time, but fell victim to changing phonotactic rules. What's a phonotactic rule? It's a rule that describes the way sounds can be arranged in the words of a language. For example, one phonotactic rule of present-day English is that you don't have a long U sound before the NG sound. So although ring, rang, and rung are all good English words, rung is not only not an English word, it's not even a possible English word. The word gnome also comes to mind when you think of silent G, but that's not from Old English. It's from Greek, which brings us to another source of silent letters.
In the Middle Ages, the English language was rocked by the Great Vowel Shift, a major phonetic change that affected how long vowels were spoken.
These changes took place over the course of several centuries and eventually led to modern English pronunciations with little or no changes in spelling. Of course, it makes writing these words correctly even more difficult. Classical Greek allowed several other consonant clusters that violate modern English phonotactic rules. As a result, Greek borrowings that begin with these clusters get simplified by losing that first consonant. In addition to the GN cluster of gnome and Gnostic, Greek had several clusters beginning with P. The cluster PN appears in pneumonia and PS in words such as psalm and psychiatry. The cluster PT in words such as pterodactyl. Some letters are silent in English words from another language. You guessed it, French. French speakers stopped pronouncing those final consonants in so many words. For example, the silent D and silent X in Grand Prix. Other words with silent letters are borrowed from other languages. For instance, tsunami is actually a Japanese word. There is one more factor that resulted in these silent letters. It came from some misguided spelling reforms. Some people with influence over how the English language would evolve added extra letters simply because they could.
What?
Many printers who operated printing presses in England came from the Netherlands and Germany because they had control over a language that was, at the time, still not standardized. They added extra letters to have them resemble words from their home countries. Scholars added the silent B to doubt on the word's derivation from the Latin dubitare. While silent letters may seem useless at times, it's almost impossible to ignore them because they play such a prominent role in the English language.